Okay, here we are again at the tail of the CARF Corsair, and I've got the doors set up and working properly, and I've done a few things differently here to make it easier, and I'm going to go through what those things are. First of all, let's do a little review. This is the spring system that right here, back down in here, that pushes the doors open. And remember, the nut down there on the bottom is used to adjust the degree that they open. Now, I might note that on the CARF, on the full scale, the doors are almost straight out, like little wings. But on the CARF, it's hard to accomplish that because they hit the fuselage here, and they're not as straight as they are on the full scale. So you can't really get them open as far as what they should be, but you can open them. They should be open maximum, the maximum amount you can get. And I stop it just before it hits the fuselage here, so that there's no tension on these hinge points or anything. They're still working freely, and they're not pushing against the fuselage, putting tension on the hinges. And then I've got these Robart. I used the Robart horns this time with this linkage for pull cable, the Dubro pull system. And the reason for that is so all you have to do is take this little nut off here and this bolt, and the doors are removable then. And you want to be able to take them off when you put these covers on that we have. You can see them there. This side's completely done. I left this one off so you can still see the installation of the horns and stuff. Now, after all this is located and I got it in the right spot, I go through and I put High-Sol around everything and glue it on real solid. That wasn't done at the point I did the last video, but it is now. So this door is ready to cover, just like this one was. And I simply cut out the ABS around everything and glue it on. And it really isn't a very difficult operation. Now the springs, I did a little the pull cable I did a little differently this time. I simply have two holes here in this bracket, and I ran the cable up through the hole and across and down the other side, and it doesn't slip at all in that. And just to make sure, I put a drop of CA in each hole, and so that's locked in. You got these adjustments here to adjust the cable with, to get it to close, both sides to close perfectly, and it was quite easy to adjust that way. So let's run it, and we'll see how it looks. I've got my down and locked amp out switch here that I use so that there's no danger to the motor when it hits the load. So here we go. Let's close them. And you'll see the timing on the doors. Because of the lengths of the cable, they stay open and then they start to close just at the right time. So they close down around the wheel. And there they go. I've got some screws countersunk onto that horn that's pulling the cable because there's a lot of pull on that. And I did that on both sides. That's something else I've done this time that I didn't do before. And there's the proper exposure of the tire if things are correct. And you can also see I have the doors divided so the tire is in the front door and doesn't go on to the back. They had an interlock on them. They didn't need to open the back doors if they weren't using the tail hook. They could just open the front doors if they wanted, or if there was no tail hook. Now let's open it back up. Push the button the other way. And you can see how the doors come open, just the timing's perfect. And I want to show you one other thing. Okay, it's open. Now, this shock on your kit will be 4 inches. That's the wrong length. It should be 3 inches. Daryl knows this. I don't know if CARF has ever been told, but Daryl, I've made it aware to Sierra Precision that this shock is 1 inch too long as it comes. And what that does is it pushes the wheel out clear into the yoke here, and you have to have the hole in the doors oversized to accommodate that, and it doesn't look at all like the scale Corsair. Now I've seen some guys put wedges back here, and that tilts the gear backwards, which in turn lowers the wheel into the bay. But the problem with that is, then when it's down, the gear isn't vertical like it should be, looking at it sideways. So if you send this shock back to Daryl at Sierra Precision, he will remanufacture it to 3 inches, which is what I've had this one done to. And when you do that, let's close it again. When you do that, that tire is exposed just the way it should be. There it is. Now that simple operation is absolutely foolproof. And that's it. And I'll have additional information on the thread with a parts list and links of things like I mentioned, the parts and things, the lengths of them and so forth, so make it easier. See you again.